The first time it happened was at 3:06 in the morning. Lucas woke up with the distinct feeling that the air in the room was wrong. Not cold, not heavy, wrong. He opened his eyes expecting to see the window to the right, but she was on the left. He blinked several times. He sat down slowly on the bed. The room looked the same. Same bed, same wardrobe, same desk, but everything was a little out of place. It was as if someone had rotated the room a few degrees while he was sleeping. He thought he was confused. They are levers. Nightmare. It's all in your head. The next day at 3:06 in the morning he woke up again. The hallway light was on, but he was absolutely certain he had erased it. When she turned her face away, she felt her body go cold. The bedroom door, which had always been aligned with the foot of the bed, was now behind him, as if the room had spun, and he had been left in the same place. He just stared at it, paralyzed. He put his hand to his forehead. He closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. When he opened it, the door was still there. Wrong place. In an impossible place. In the morning, everything was normal. The door is in the right place. The table where he always sat. The window facing east. The feeling that nothing had happened. Lucas didn't tell anyone. It seemed like madness. He himself didn't fully believe it. But that wasn't all. Something bothered him more than the room changing. It was time. Always 3:06. The same time his mother said that when he was a child he used to wake up crying for no reason. The same time that the car radio of his father would turn on by itself. The same time of day when, years ago, their old house would experience sudden power outages. It was too much of a coincidence, or too much detail to ignore. On the third night, 3:06 again, he woke up with a snap. Dry, strong. It was as if someone had tapped their fingers on the wall beside the bed. When he opened his eyes, the bed was no longer against the wall. It was in the center of the room, perfectly centered. The desk was behind the door. The door was near the window. The window was where the wardrobe should have been. It was as if the entire room had slid apart during the night, but the ground beneath their feet remained the same. Lucas stood up, slowly, like someone who fears the ground might be less firm than it seems. He took a step. The air seemed to vibrate silently. Another one came up. The room was exactly as before, but out of place. Turned, uncomfortably consistent in its incoherence. He held the doorknob. He opened the door. The hallway was different, narrower, longer, or was he the one seeing things wrong? He closed the door and took a deep breath. He went back to bed. He covered himself up to his chest. He stared at the ceiling, waiting for dawn. The next day, everything was all right again, like always, as if the early morning hours had been a shared dream between him and his own room. But Lucas knew that wasn't true. The following night, he decided to test it. He placed a chair against the door, another heavy object in front of the window, and a glass cup right on the edge of the table. Any sudden movement would cause it to fall. He lay down. He tried to sleep, but the sleep came broken, restless, as if it were being pulled out of the body. At exactly 3:06, he woke up to the sound of the glass falling. But the glass didn't fall. He was on the ground, yes, but intact, as if someone had carefully placed it there. The chair was in the middle of the room. The weight of the window was beside the bed, and the window was open. Lucas felt his stomach churn. It was no longer the fourth sliding room. The scenario wasn't changing. Someone, or something, was rearranging everything while he slept, and it wasn't random. It seemed intentional, orchestrated. He sat there, watching everything, feeling the unsettling certainty that he was not alone in there. A chill touched the back of his neck, a feeling that something was standing directly behind him. He didn't have the courage to look. The next day, she spoke with her next-door neighbor, Donna Luisa. She had lived there for over 20 years. I knew everything. He knew everything, or almost. He asked somewhat awkwardly if she had ever sensed anything strange in the apartment. She looked at him for a second that was far too long. A heavy silence fell between the two. "In your room?" she asked. "Yes." "So it's already started?" she said softly. Lucas felt a chill run down his spine. "What started?" "They call it misalignment." "Who are they?" "The ones who lived here before," she said, looking directly into his eyes. "The problem was never the apartment. It was the room." Lucas swallowed hard. "What's in the room?" "He doesn't like staying in the same place." He laughed nervously. "The fourth? Do you think walls are fixed?" she asked. "Do you think spaces don't move?" Sometimes the room isn't where you think it is. Sometimes it tries to go back to where it was before. Lucas didn't know the answer. And there's something else, she said, almost whispering. The room always gives a warning before changing rooms. That made Lucas freeze. How? With signs, she replied. Sounds, objects out of place, doors that no longer close the same way, wrong reflections. I didn't see any wrong reflections, he lied. Not yet, she said. The following night, he couldn't sleep. He stayed awake, lying down, waiting. The room seemed too quiet. 3:06. He hadn't even closed his eyes, but he felt the change. He felt as if the mattress had slid an inch, as if the wind were blowing from an impossible angle. And then he realized the wardrobe was closer, about 5 centimeters, maybe 10. He didn't see it happen, but it happened. The bedroom door was further away. The table seemed to have rotated slightly. Minor changes, underneath, but constant. He stood up. He flipped the switch. The light didn't turn on. He took a deep breath. He ran to the mirror. The reflection was there. Normal. Almost normal. Almost. Because his reflection was one step behind. Literally a step backward. As if it were taking too long to reach him. Lucas put his hand up in front of him. The reflex raised its hand. 2 seconds later, he retreated. The reflection smiled. He didn't smile. That's when he heard the closet door slam shut. Alone. In the dark. The next day, he decided to sleep in the living room. It was safer, more open, less alive. At 3:06, the light in the room flickered, and the hallway made a noise as if it were expanding. Lucas sat down on the sofa, his heart racing. The room was shaking, not just inside, but outside. It was as if he were pushing against the walls of the apartment to find space, to breathe, to exist elsewhere. He heard the bed being dragged, but the door was locked. Or was it? Because seconds later, the bedroom door appeared exactly where there had been a wall before. The room had been moved. The corridor had changed. The apartment was being reorganized. The next day, everything was normal, as if nothing had happened. But Lucas began to realize that the bedroom was closer to the living room than before. Millimeters, centimeters, almost imperceptible movements. They are average, every day. And every day the wall seemed further away. The fourth one was progressing, migrating. Where to? Or worse, for whom? The following night he woke up, of course, at 3:06. The bedroom was just a few steps from the living room now, almost touching. Then something happened for the first time. The door opened by itself, slowly, down to the millimeter, as if she were waiting for him to look. Inside, the room was completely different. The furniture was in places it had never been before. The walls seemed farther away, or closer, or more pies. It wasn't clear, and there was something else. A corner that didn't exist before. A wall fold. A corner that was never there before. A shadow stood there motionless. A shadow that had no owner. He retreated, but the fourth one moved forward. Literally. A crackling sound echoed. The wall moved outward 1 centimeter. The fourth one was trying to reach him. The air smelled of old dust. A mofo. Things that shouldn't breathe. He ran to the front door, but when she opened it, the hallway was the room. The walls had rearranged themselves as he ran. The apartment was the bedroom. He looked back. The reflection in the mirror in the background was still, but he wasn't there. The reflection raised its hand. He didn't get up. The reflex took a step. Not him. The reflection smiled. That slow smile. Cold. That it didn't imitate anything human. Then the whole house shook, as if it were breathing, and the reflection wrote something on the fogged glass, with a finger that wasn't there. You are in the wrong place. The door slammed shut behind him. The walls have changed position. The ground seemed to tilt, and then he realized it wasn't the room that was changing location. It was him. Every night at 3:06 a.m., Lucas was sleeping in a different room. Older, more distorted, more closer to something that shouldn't exist. Each movement was a step deeper, further from the real world, closer to the original room, the room that didn't belong in that building, not even back then, not even to that house. Until finally, one quiet morning, at 3:06 a.m., the room found its way back to where it should never have left, and Lucas could no longer be found.